Dry Bones That Dream by Peter Robinson. Read by Simon Slater. Chapter 1, Part 1. The uniformed constable lifted the tape and waved Detective Chief Inspector Banks through the gate at 2:47 in the morning. Banks's headlights danced over the scene as he drove into the bumpy farmyard and came to a halt. To his left stood the squat, solid house itself, with its walls of thick limestone and mossy flagstone roof. Light shone in both the upstairs and downstairs window. To his right, a high stone wall buttressed a copse that straggled up the daleside, where the trees became lost in darkness. Straight ahead stood the barn. A group of officers had gathered around the open doors, inside which a ball of light seemed to be moving. They looked like the cast of a 50s sci-fi film, gazing in awe on an alien spaceship or life form. When Banks arrived, they parted in silence to let him through. As he entered, he noticed one young PC leaning against the outside wall, dribbling vomit on his size 12s. Inside, the scene looked like a film set. Peter Darby, the police photographer, was busy videotaping, and the source of the light was attached to the top of his camera. It created an eerie chiaroscuro and sudden sickening illuminations as it swept around the barn's interior. All he needed, Banks thought, was for someone to yell action, and the place would suddenly be full of sound and motion. But no amount of yelling would breathe life back into the grotesque shape on the floor, by which a way-faced young police surgeon, Dr. Burns, squatted with a black notebook in his hand. At first, the position of the body reminded Banks of a parody of Muslim prayer. The kneeling man bent forward from the waist, arms stretched out in front, bum in the air, forehead touching the ground, perhaps facing Mecca. His fists were clenched in the dirt, and Banks noticed the glint of a gold cufflink initialed Car, as Darby's light flashed on it. But there was no forehead to touch the ground. Above the charcoal suit jacket, the blood-soaked collar of the man's shirt protruded about an inch, and after that came nothing but a dark coagulated mass of bone and tissue spread out on the dirt like an oil stain. A shotgun wound, by the look of it. Patches of blood, bone and brain matter stuck to the whitewashed stone walls, in abstract expressionist patterns. Darby's roving light caught what looked like a fragment of skull, sprouting a tuft of fair hair beside a rusty hoe. Banks felt the bile rise in his throat. He could still smell the gunpowder, reminiscent of a childhood bonfire night, mixed with the stink of urine and feces and the rancid raw meat smell of sudden violent death. "What time did the call come in?" he asked the PC beside him. 1:38, sir. PC Carstairs from Relton was first on the scene. He's still puking up out front. Banks nodded. "Do we know who the victim was?" "DC Gay checked his wallet, sir. Name's Keith Rothwell. That's the name of the bloke who lived here, all right." He pointed over to the house. "Arkbeck Farm, it's called." "A farmer?" "Nay, sir, accountant. Some sort of businessman, any road." One of the constables found a light switch and turned on the bare bulb, which became a foundation for the brighter light of Darby's video camera. Most regions didn't use video because it was hard to get good enough quality, but Peter Darby was a hardware junkie, forever experimenting. Banks turned his attention back to the scene. The place looked as if it had once been a large stone Yorkshire barn, with double doors and a hayloft, called a field house in those parts. Originally, it would have been used to keep the cows inside between November and May, and to store fodder, but Rothwell seemed to have converted it into a garage. To Banks's right, a silver-grey BMW, parked at a slight angle, took up about half the space. Beyond the car, against the far wall, a number of metal shelf units held all the tools and potions one would associate with car care. Antifreeze, wax polish, oily rags, screwdrivers, spanners.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?